Hey, I think we're live.
Hey, we are. Yeah.
Don't look now. Sorry, we're late.
We're
We
live and
actually ran long on a meeting that we just took. We're gonna
Fucking business stuff
business bullshit
getting in the way of
gets in the way.
content.
Sweet content. We got some cool stuff going on today. I just finished up the spoiler edition of Game of Thrones. Which, man, I always feel so weird when I record that shit alone. I forgot how hard that was.
Yeah. No, it's strange having a conversation with yourself.
It is really weird. But it was fun and enjoyable. Ended up clocking in 50 minutes, and I wasn't able to do any of the pluses that I was wanting to do because we ran long on Justified yesterday, and then my son was sick Wednesday, so most of the day I got to do some research, but I wasn't able actually to do like the script and the video work I was wanting to do.
Huh.
Excuses, bullshit. I thought something that's really caught my imagination in this last week was Netflix's Daredevil.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when I came in and I was about to like strong arm you into watching it.
It's some of that superhero bullshit that I don't like.
Yeah. I was just watched the first 2 episodes and you're like, yeah, I watched 6. And I'm like, what?
Turns out I watched 8.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that I watched that many.
Why did Daredevil grab you by the nuts and make you watch that in a way that Superman and Spider-Man and X-Men and all that stuff have not?
Episodes 1 and 2, man. Those are killer episodes of TV, period. I mean, that's not even that crazy on the superhero scale, right? I mean, so, okay, Daredevil's a fairly cool superhero because he's kind of science-based.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the old idea where when you lose one sense, your others become stronger. Sure. That's what he's entirely based on. And yeah, that's true, not to the degree.
He's more of straight up science. He's kind of like a Batman, only more accessible because
he is.
You know, Batman can essentially invent anything
and
that he needs,
and
he can show up and have a kryptonite-powered exosuit, allowing him to take on Superman. Whereas Daredevil is
a guy
fairly grounded, and he's a science fiction plot.
Yeah, and I like Batman too. I mean,
sure.
The superhero stuff I don't like is the crazier stuff.
Thor, you love Thor.
Jesus, let's not talk about Thor. So yeah, he's more grounded, and he's out, you know, looking for justice as superheroes tend to do. But the background of his story is really what got me into it. Like his dad being this boxer, and wanting to show his son what you can be, and paying a huge price for that, and then his son taking that and running with it and trying to honor his father in some way was a very real kind of backstory.
Feeling a real guilt. Like, I mean,
yeah,
so
I had killed him, you know.
There's going to be mild spoilers
told
here.
Him,
we're not going to spoil anything huge. This is all like, you know, origin story stuff. But
yeah,
you know, his son told him to not take a dive that he probably should have taken. Is the Bruce Willis scenario in Pulp Fiction, which ultimately got his father killed.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the same story of Spider-Man. Like, you know, my abilities, because he overheard a conversation his dad wouldn't suspect him overhearing because of a super hearing.
Yeah.
Which led him to, not manipulate, but encourage his father to not do that. Got his father killed.
Yeah, he didn't want his dad to lose, and on purpose. Why would he do that? The kid couldn't understand it.
Right. Well, I think I even took it to where the kid knew that this was kind of shady and unethical, and there was that aspect of it too. So,
but I mean, his father, you know, is doing this stuff to put food on the table for his kid too. It's very tragic, and it's very interesting and more complex than you normally get with origin stories of superheroes.
Sure.
I really just thought the first 2 episodes were incredible.
Yeah, and
not only for that reason.
I think the lead guy, because I've only known him as Owen from season 3 of Boardwalk Empire, I think. Maybe
really,
season 4.
I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Irish upstart. I guess not secondhand man, but main muscle for Nucky.
Huh. Okay.
But and I'd never suspected that he could be this physical of a performance, because the other thing that really grabs you about the scene is the fight scenes, man.
Yeah.
They're slightly less brutal than Banshee, but the choreography is much more outlandish.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got like really intense, Asian, Eastern style martial arts action.
Yeah, and it's shot in, you know how they kind of just do a lot of fast cuts in most stuff?
Yeah, like the Jason Bourne shaky cam. There's no...
Where you know they're not really able to do these moves in succession. That is not what happens here. They do long ass cuts sometimes. Like, you know, I think the hallmark of this series as far as fight scene goes is that hallway fight scene.
I think that's in episode 3.
Is it? Okay.
Which I saw as a... Well, actually, no, it might have been in episode 2.
I thought it was 2, but I'm not certain.
Because I remember we were settling in for a Daredevil marathon, and we got to that sequence, and my girlfriend's like, oh, man, this is like a total homage to that scene in Old Boy. And I'm like, I've never actually seen Old Boy.
Ooh, yep.
And she's like, well, guess what we're doing after this is over? You're going to fucking watch Old Boy. You're going to
fuck up your dreams for the next week and a half.
Indeed. I watched that movie, and then I spent the rest of the night sucking my thumb in the corner of my apartment, not willing to go on.
Yeah,
but
you can't even.
That is a super high compliment. That fight is just so incredible. And the way they play with the fact that, you know, it's like one of the most unbelievable things about any of these guys is they just drop into like 20 guys and mow through it. Well, Daredevil, like they somehow convince you that he's just barely making it through these things.
Yeah.
And they also like set up the ability of him taking these superhuman amounts of damage by his father. Like, you know, you've got like a genetic component that his father took beatings as a boxer. That was good. He's the Homer Simpson school of I'll just take punches.
He's Rocky.
Or the Rocky. I'll take punches to the face and to the head and sustain massive concussions. So the other guy wears himself out.
And I'll just keep getting up. I mean, that's a central theme of Daredevil is you don't stay down. You keep getting up.
I also love, like, he's running around in, like, the first 30 minutes of the Christian Bale Batman get up, where it's just, like, you know, black cargo pants.
Oh, yeah.
A tactical mock turtleneck.
And he's got, you know, the blind justice sort of thing going on with the bandana over his eyes.
Indeed.
Because he can't see anyway.
And I'm on episode 11, and he's still not donned the traditional red Daredevil costume.
Wow. Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that... I mean, I've seen you look at Daredevil, like the cover art on Netflix, and you see him wear the Daredevil, and like I think it's significantly less cooler than the black hooded blind justice he's running around at now.
Any superhero costume is less cool than what they could be wearing.
You don't like the X-Men costumes, like the leather kind of combat suits?
No, they're okay.
That's what I'm saying.
They're okay. They're cool.
If they look practical, like that's the thing that makes.
You know, the one I really like is Captain America's.
Really?
I think because of the era in which it was made, the all leather. Yeah, that's really a cool concept.
And honestly, I think that the modern Cap that he rocks in the Avengers looks like a very streamlined, higher tech version of the same getup.
I gotta say, I do love that they're getting into these kind of like cross stitched, like weird fabrics, and not like fucking spandex like it was the 60s Batman movie or something.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like they seem like they take out the spandex. They try to do, like, you know, if Jack Kirby, instead of just drawing this stuff as guys in pajamas, if he actually had to make that same look, but make it look like a suit of battle. Yeah. That you could actually go in and survive stuff. I like that. But honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of afraid what this thing's going to be like when he dons the full costume, because that's going to add a level
with horns.
That's going to add a level of ridiculous to it that this show just completely lacks
so far. Yeah.
It's also got really good actors. Like I talked about the guy who's I don't know what his actor's name is, but also the best part of True Blood, Deborah Ann Wool, the redhead, or I guess the blonde. She's blonde in this. Yeah. Fantastic, and I fall in love with her every second she's on the screen. And then when
Charlie Cox is that guy's name.
Okay. And who's the guy that plays Foggy?
Eldon Henson.
Because I hated that guy when I first saw him, but he's turned into a fairly cool character as
the show
goes on.
He's one that, I don't know if it works out with Karen, the blonde. At first you're like, no. Yeah, I don't like anything about that. But
yeah, it's like, stay away. That's Matt's girl. We all know it.
And it felt very organic the way that progressed too, right? Sure. I mean, there was a little bit of stilting, like Foggy. Okay, Foggy clearly wants to move in here. The blonde is clearly more attracted to Daredevil. But I feel like it naturally progressed the relationship in a believable way.
Plus, when I was thinking like I don't like this, Foggy's moving in on Karen, then Rosario Dawson shows up. It's like
it's Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, you literally have Strawberry Sundae versus you know, chocolate fudge. Like, which is better?
Okay. Sure.
They're totally distinct, and that's the other thing. They're all good. Like usually, you know, when you've got like a romantic triangle or something, you've got like very polar opposite people. Like this is the bad girl, this is the good girl.
Oh yeah,
this is the safe choice, this is the dangerous choice, this is the one you bring home to mom. This is these are they're all very good, virtuous, not in the like sexual morality, although there hasn't been any sex yet. But they're virtuous and heroic characters unto their own rights, and it's like. I don't know when I started turning into a fucking shipper. Maybe I've watched too much goddamn Downton Abbey, but I've noticed that about myself. Like I'm trying to like matchy.
Yeah.
I don't. My brain just like I don't whatever. Flip a coin. It's very hard for me to say which is the better woman for either of these guys. I mean,
it's convenient for Daredevil to have a doctor at his side, right?
Sure.
I mean, certainly if you're looking at it from a purely practical standpoint. Also, if you're looking at it from a, hey, that's an awesome famous actress, Rosario Dawson wins. Come on, man.
I mean, she's the only reason to watch Clerks 2. Specifically her dancing on the Quickie Mart roof. What do you think the other big problem, or not even problem, I'm not sure what to think about the Kingpin character. And he's played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who you'll recognize from Men in Black as the sugar water. What is it?
It's Vincent D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio?
Yeah.
Well, I mispronounced
I know.
things.
I just people will complain.
By the way, speaking of complaining, we got the Q&A app turned on. So if you guys want to make any comments, or because we're going to do a little bit of here on Daredevil and maybe talk about some other stuff. If you guys want to make any comments or play along, use the Q&A app to do that. What I'm a little, because the thing about the Kingpin is that I have to believe that he's smart and he's tough and he's a credible hand-to-hand fighter. Like he doesn't prefer to do that, but if you're going to go through the comic book version, which I feel like they're going to, they are doing that, you have to believe him as a you know, as a fighter, like almost he's not like the Daredevil. He's more of a sumo type guy, but he's extremely powerful. He's not just a fat ass in a suit.
He's apparently wearing some sort of power suit underneath his suit.
He's wearing some kind of suit.
Yeah, like armor or something like that. So I think that says this guy gets into brawls more often than you'd expect.
And I've seen him with like a wife beater on later in and he's actually more muscular than you would suspect from his giant head.
Yeah, no, I would expect fat.
Yeah, no, honestly. I mean there's that, but it's like all over solid slabs of muscle,
like an Abraham sort of deal from The Walking Dead.
There's something that they've given him this. Well, they've actually given. Speaking of Walking Dead, he's more of who's the mullet? God damn it,
Eugene.
He's more of a Eugene. He's got these social awkwardness that it fits in with the backstory they've given him, but it doesn't feel very Kingpin-y. Like during any negotiation he has with a major villain, I could fully expect him to break down and start sobbing, and that is not really working for me. Watching Kingpin. Is
he a sobber? I haven't seen him sob.
Me either. I'm just saying that like his little like lower lip quiver is going to come out at any time, and
I guess the reaction
struggle with women like that's.
It seems really like that's one of his weaknesses. I don't know what his relationship with his mother was like after the events with his father.
Which we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, but it feels like maybe there's some there. With how he treats women now and how he was treated by his mother as a child. I don't know, because the roots of both of these characters, and this is one of the things that I really loved about the Kingpin and Daredevil together. Granted, I have my arguments, my gripes with Kingpin and his character. But the thing that I really love is how they have very parallel stories in a lot of ways, both the Daredevil and Kingpin. Like they both have, their father. Neither of them had fathers growing up. They both have a common goal, which is to clean up the city. For whatever that's worth, whatever that means in their own heads. And I think it means two very different things to each of them. But their end is similar or the same even. Their means are not.
Yeah, the Kingpin's like a Michael Corleone trying to use this criminal power to do good in the community and go legitimate. And
yeah, and I like to see how, you know, one kid's loss propels him in one direction, another kid's loss propels him in another. And even though those are proclaimed to be the same and can probably be viewed as such, they feel very different. And I think the show is doing a great job portraying that.
Anthony Beseech mentioned that Vincent D'Onofrio. Did I say that right that time? Donofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Call him D'Onofrio, but it looks like D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio. Whatever.
D'Onofrio.
Vincent D. He also is famous as Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket, which goddamn, that's right.
That's old school, but yeah, sure.
And I just saw this guy in some kind of special victims unit crap on NBC.
Yeah.
And he has just, I don't know whether he did it for this role or what, but I swear to God, he's gained 100 pounds.
Maybe. I mean, the Kingpin's supposed to be a big guy, right?
He's supposed to be a big guy.
But again,
he's not supposed to be like a fat sack of shit. He's supposed to be a very thick, muscled type of dude that just looks like he's fat. But that's fine. I mean, I don't know. I have some problems with the physicality of his performance because the other guy is just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And that's the other problem I have is like, I feel like Daredevil's, he scales his fighting ability appropriate to the foe. So like he will struggle with a random street tough. And then he will also struggle with like this big bad martial arts expert. And it's like there's a little bit like I kind of want him to just destroy people every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, the way Spider-Man will do, like when Spider-Man's fighting a mugger, it's over. He's just like, you know, playing with the guy.
He shoots a web at him and strings him up.
You know, Spider-Man's fighting Venom. And yes, it's a full issue long giant panel punch of Palooza. Like
bombs are being thrown.
Yeah.
Webs are being slung.
And the other thing is like, it would also make sense if the Daredevil was like learning on the job, but I don't know how far you've gotten, but they make it clear that he's been like Batman training his whole life for these kind of moments.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the stuff with the blind guy, his kind of tutor.
That was incredible. I don't know if that's part of the Daredevil canon because I'm not that familiar. I'm a Marvel guy, so I've read a lot of the classic you know, Frank Miller line the runs of it, but I'm not familiar with this Stick character. He's awesome.
I don't know what his end goal is. I don't know what he's trying to achieve, but the parts I have seen were very impressive, both from an acting perspective and a storytelling perspective as well. Yeah,
and he's kind of playing that. This is the guy who played the father on The Leftovers.
Yeah.
He was also on Deadwood. I forget this guy's name. Anyway,
let me see.
He's essentially playing the same guy as he's essentially playing the same kind of crazy old man character he does on The Leftovers.
Yeah,
which is also the same kind of crazy old guy he played on Sucker Punch. He's kind of getting typecast into that role, but he does it so well.
He does. Yeah. I can't immediately find his name.
I don't know. I thought about maybe doing. If we can get this if both of us can get this knocked out by next week, which I'm almost certain that I'll have this finished by the weekend, maybe we could do like a little Bald Move TV on
it. Sure. That sounds redundant, but okay.
We can't just pull the audio out of although okay, that's the thing. A lot of people have suggested pulling the audio out of these Lunch with Jim and A.Rons and releasing them as a members only podcast.
That's true. That's not a bad idea. Because I know a lot of people can't do the video or don't want to do the video.
Sure. What is the main technical hurdle is just the fact that you'd have to download it just adds overhead, right? You have to download the thing from YouTube, which takes a while. You have to rip the audio, which takes a while.
Well, I mean, we could do it just like we do a live podcast where I record it at the same time.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's exactly what we should do. That's exactly what we should do. I was thinking about how you could go back and do all these retroactively, but yeah, maybe we can just start doing that.
Do it real time.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Or we could just broadcast it on Mixler. I don't know.
Is that
the audio only version?
The thing is I feel like that we are a podcast consortium and people are consuming us on the device and the app of their choice. And if we say like, oh yeah, just get on Mix, because there's shit tons of things in iTunes and the Android app store that you can go and just treat YouTube as a jukebox, right? So, but people don't want to do that because that's not their favorite thing.
Yeah,
and
they have a process, and this is not it.
Yeah, like, so I think
although to be a consortium, we need Russians. That's all I'm saying.
They scare me. A
couple of Russian brothers, and we're a consortium.
Between Eastern Promises and Daredevil, I'm just afraid of Russians. All Russians.
Yeah, well, YouTube doesn't help that either. That's for sure.
Why? What are you talking about?
Man, you seen some of the crazy shit that Russians get up to?
Oh,
hanging off of 500-foot drops by one hand, doing pull-ups.
Okay.
That type of shit, firing off.
I thought you were going like Chechen rebels, stuff like that. That guy's not.
No.
FPS Russia is not actually Russian, though.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but you know, Russians do a lot of crazy shit on the internet.
That is true. I
don't think that's debatable.
They wrestle bears and get into all kinds of traffic problems.
It's true. Yeah.
What else we want to talk about?
I don't know.
We're about ready to do what's on the slate for the rest of the afternoon is probably some more True Detective work. Our next commission podcast is The Deer Hunter, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, I've never seen that, but you know, Christopher Walken, Robert De Niro, can't go wrong.
It's I don't know, we might have an old boy situation where afterwards we just a little wiped out.
Is it that crazy?
There's some gut-wrenching stuff in it. There's some gut-wrenching things. I don't know. Anytime like I've seen something that Jim hasn't, I tend to be like watching, like, you know, I spend as much time watching you as I do the show, but that's entertaining for me.
All right. I don't know. What have you been up to, man? You been playing anything?
I've been working
on anything.
I've been working on the spoiler stuff for Game of Thrones. Like I've got like the next 3 weeks kind of worked out because I'm trying to get ahead of this game, because I've realized that if I wait until like Monday to start writing these things, I'm never going to get these videos. I'm never going to get these audio extras. And like, I recorded it yesterday and then I was editing it last night at home, and I realized that I was having a hard time following it. I was trying to do too much information at once, so I broke it into 2 parts, and I came in here and I got up early this morning and rewrote it and then re-recorded it. It's just tough to get back in that groove.
Sure.
And like, I haven't hardly played any Destiny. I'm excited about that because they announced they had this big patch to add a lot of new features, and they're announced the House of Wolves expansion that's going live, which it's going to have like a 3-man horde mode, which I'm pretty excited about.
Sounds really cool. I'd like to get in on that.
But yeah, I don't know. I got 2 weekends that are going to be child free coming up, and then I got 2 weekends that will be child full. So I'm trying to do some, catch up on some personal stuff and also some Bald Moose stuff this weekend. What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I've been into season 3 of Diablo 3 lately.
No, what do you mean season 3?
So they have this concept called seasons in the game where you play through the game and you level up your character and you get a bunch of gear. And then at the end of, I think it's every month or every 3 months, it's wiped out. And the only thing that remains of that character and that account is leaderboards. So like, I don't stand any chance of getting on leaderboards because I don't play it nearly enough. But it's cool for people who are really into it, where they can kind of leave their mark indelibly on Diablo. Me and Cecily got really into the Rayman Origins because they had worldwide leaderboards that reset every week. And we got, we are never going to get like on the top one, but we got into the platinum level a couple times where we were like the top 1,000 2-man crew. And we like, you're just competing against yourself. Like, we were 1,500 last week. Now we're 998, and you start recognizing people, like the people that are kind of in your, because it's the same kind of people in your skill range. And it was a lot of fun. Do you compete against yourself? Like keep track of where you're at and whether you're moving up or down or not? This is the first time I've really done this, so I don't have like a system or anything. I'm just kind of playing, getting a feel for it. I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to have time to compete with the thousands and thousands of streamers out there who are
Sure.
doing this full time. So I'm probably not going to get too serious into it, but it's just a fun thing to do. And I've been playing Hearthstone as well. Hearthstone is a Magic the Gathering like card game.
Yeah, I'd like to get into that.
That's all digital
myself, but I feel like I don't really want to get in it to play with you at this point, and you're so much better than me. It just be annoying.
It's very different from Magic too. Like you can't assign blockers or anything. Is
the attacker better or worse? Because I think Magic is about as good as it gets for a tabletop game.
It's different. It's really good, but it's different. And you can buy cards, but I don't know. There's no market to buy the actual cards you want, unlike Magic, where you can go to eBay or whatever and buy specific cards.
Or like a Magic
to build a deck.
Gathering Online, to have an online marketplace as well.
Yeah, and you can't do that in Hearthstone. You have to buy pack after pack after pack after pack. Or you can play the arena, which is a draft like Magic. But you don't get to keep the cards at the end. So you pay $2, you go in, you build a deck, which is then wiped out afterward, and you get rewards based on how well you did.
Are there rewards cards?
It's always one pack of cards at least.
How much is a pack of cards?
I think it's $2.
Okay.
So I think you're paying the price of a pack of cards, but you also get to play for more.
Okay. So it's kind of like Friday Night Magic, only online, happening all the time.
Kinda, yeah.
Because you go to local Magic shop.
It's just you don't get to keep the cards you draft. You get to keep some random 5 cards from the pack.
Yeah, because the way most of the Magic, Friday Night Magics I've ever participated is you buy in for 4 packs. You use 3 that everybody passes around. You get to keep all those cards, but then the packs you win are dependent based on, because the winner gets like 50% of them. And then like I think the last 3 places don't get shit, but you always get at least 3 packs.
It's similar to that, yeah. But it's based on a much larger pool. So like if you have, they'll match people based on their record. So if you lose the first game, you're matched with other people who lost the first game.
That's nice.
That way you're not playing some asshole who's way better than you and is constantly saying, I'll allow that.
Right, yeah.
There's no like chat interaction either. It's all emotes.
One thing I've been doing, I got to tip off Reddit because I'm like in the top. I'm in like a level 31 on all my guys, and like the rock strikes, which are activity you do a lot of, are not really challenging.
Talking Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny. What I've been doing of late is I put on shitty armor to where I'm like a level 24, 25, and I run the level 26 strike. And so that is like full of dudes that are trying to get, they're trying to work their way up. And as soon as I get match made, because it match makes, like if I was coming in with my level 30, 31 gear, I'd get matched with 30, 31s and we just wreck the thing.
Yeah.
Be over in 10 minutes, that's fun to do too. But I put on my shitty armor, so I'm paired with a bunch of other 24 to 26s. And as soon as we get paired up, I put on my God armor and it's like, get on my back, God. And it's, I'm trying to carry these guys along. Same thing with the weeklies. That
seems like a pretty big loophole, but I don't know how you'd fix that.
I mean, I wish people had done it for me. God damn. Some of those strikes are, and you're always encouraged to try to do one that you're just not quite ready for because the rewards are so much better.
I mean, that's a practice that some games encourage.
Yeah. It's like, it's
not necessarily a bad thing.
It's essentially slumming,
Yeah. So I forget the term that they have for that, but basically
chirping, that's what they call it in Destiny.
Okay. That's a new wave term for it. I mean, it's been around since Diablo 1 or longer, where you like basically take your friend through. I don't know.
Anyway, let's see. Got another question. Dan Gordon says, what work are you doing on True Detective? Is that just prep for the new season? Also, Star Wars new trailer? Let's take the first things first.
True Detective.
We're actually doing True Detective season 1. And I'm not going to say anything more about it because I have no idea I don't want to like come out with some crazy ambitious thing and under promise or over promise and under deliver. So we are doing, we are doing season 1 of True Detective.
The one thing I will say is that Matthew McConaughey has done podcasts long before he was getting paid to do podcasts. That's not true. And that has nothing to do with our podcast.
That doesn't even parse. But yeah, so I can't really say any more about it. But season 1's underway. We're going to release that before season 2 as a way to springboard, get our season 2 thing as big as we can get it.
Yeah.
Thoughts on a new Star Wars trailer?
It looked cool.
I'm going to dump some cold water on it. because I remember seeing the Phantom Menace trailer and thinking it looked amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So awesome.
Like, it looks awesome, but it's just a trailer.
And also,
and a teaser.
I'm also going to go against the geek crowd. And there's like people saying how they wept when they saw Han and Chewie. The first thing I can think of is how fucking old that dude looked.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is one of those celebrities who doesn't worry that much about his appearance, right, and aging. I respect that.
I'm just saying, if you just look at him and you strip away the fact that that's Han Solo playing Han Solo, I don't know what gear we're going to get him in. Are we going to get him in Indiana Jones 4 gear? Are we going to get him in Indiana Jones 3 gear? Those are two very different gears. And I have not seen this man shift into that high gear for well over a decade now.
Yeah.
So like, if he's just going to put on his costume and smirk and slur a few lines, that is not super exciting for me.
Okay.
But yes, seeing a Star Destroyer crashed on a desert planet was super fucking cool. Seeing the Dark Trooper style
Darth Vader's melted helmet was pretty amazing.
Cool. Hearing Mark Hamill voiceover, his retake on the "I'm a Jedi like my father before me" speech was very cool.
Yeah,
I'm cannot go. I'm going to have my son with me. It's going to be on Christmas. I'm not going to set myself up for some massive disappointment.
No,
I'm expecting a crass commercial cash in, and if I get like a Star Trek level reboot, then I will be pleasantly surprised. But I cannot fucking believe every nerd that has an ounce of nerd DNA on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my Reddit is just jizzing themselves. I'm like, how are you guys setting yourselves up for this again?
Yeah.
How? Just when you're ready to fall in love with Star Wars again, they come in with a nice new dress and they got their bolted on tits and they got their face made up, and you're just going to jump in bed with them again? Keep your guard up, people. Keep your guard up.
In some ways, the Phantom Menace is the thing that has jaded me the most in my life.
To me, it was Attack of the Clones. I mean, because I was drinking.
You were in denial. You were in fucking
I was
denial
like, this will make sense, guys. This will make sense. When we see the second one, it's like this stuff was all going to pay. No, it didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I got so hyped for that movie. So hyped. And I was 17 at the time.
All did.
And it was, I know everyone did. And then when it was such a big letdown, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm checked out of the hype train permanently.
I feel like I'm the only person that is maybe I am having an unhealthy reaction to this, but I feel like I'm the only person who's voiced the let's not start sucking everybody's popsicles yet. Let's slow down here. And it's a cool trailer. Great. I like this guy as a creator.
Yeah.
Abrams is not an idiot. I like to take on Star Trek, but I've never been as big a Star Trek fan as Star Wars. I've always been a Star Wars guy.
I mostly like his take on Star Trek. I think it's a little too actiony. It's not cerebral enough for Star Trek, but it kind of fits perfectly with Star Wars. And so I'm excited about him and the possibilities there, but I'm not necessarily gung-ho just because of a couple of trailers. Like, I'm excited because I like Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
I'm not excited because I think this is going to be the next The Matrix on excitement level.
That's another good comparison, because The Matrix, it
lived up to the hype.
Really?
The first first movie totally lived up to the hype.
I don't think the first one had a lot of hype behind it. It just felt like it.
Well, when I saw the trailers, I got hyped. I was like, oh my God, look at the incredible shit they're doing. This is amazing.
I really liked the first two Matrixes. I thought the final Matrix was a huge letdown.
Yeah.
And
I don't disagree. And I don't even know about the second one. The second one was, you could see it starting to slide off the cliff.
I think the second one is still pretty good. It's just, they set up a lot of promise and a lot of mysteries that they just didn't seem interested in answering in the third one. So it's like, if the third one never got made, it would be kind of like one of those great, like, what if? But the third one comes out, makes it retroactively more of a turd.
The best thing about that trailer, the Star Wars trailer, is no CGI Chewbacca.
Oh, sure.
Like, have an actual dude in a suit.
Lucas.
Yeah, he fucked it up, man.
I mean, but on the other hand, he did a physical puppet for the Phantom Menace, and it was terrible. But that's always been my problem with Lucas. Like, do you guys not have studio footage of Yoda or Jabba the Hutt? If not, I've got VHS tapes. You can see exactly what they look like, guys.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Like the Yoda puppet for the Phantom Menace does not look like fucking Yoda.
Well, he's supposed to be
and George,
a little bit younger, yeah.
Fuck you.
Like 30 years younger.
800 years old, so he's 30. Oh, yeah, that really takes off the years. That really, I mean...
You know, he's had a rough previous 30 years. It's been a rough life since he's had to flee Coruscant.
Well, sure, Dagobah will put the miles on the tires, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, and then George is trying to tell us that this is a more technically sophisticated puppet.
Yeah.
Well, there's no ear. Well, great, George, but you know what? It doesn't look like fucking Yoda.
Yeah.
And this Jabba doesn't look like Jabba, and this CGI Wookiee doesn't look like Wookiee. Like
the puppet Wookiee looks like.
That's the
Chewbacca.
thing. Like no one. You go back.
Puppet,
you go back and look at the original Star Wars, A New Hope, and you look at Peter Mayhew in that fucking carpet suit.
Awesome.
He looks like an alien.
Yep.
I don't know how they did it, but it looks utterly convincing. And why he thought he needed to get. I mean, I guess like I don't mind them going CG for like the big Wookiee battles, because how else are you going to do that?
Yeah.
But anytime we saw like people interacting, like a CGI Yoda with a CGI Wookiee, Yoda looked great. Wookiee looked like shit. It's like, I don't know how they didn't get all that stuff to work right. Maybe it's because one of the things Lucas wanted to do is make these films on like a shoestring budget. Like Phantom Menace was made for like 60 million. That's nothing.
That's really cheap. Yeah.
So maybe that was just like a bad decision. Like 120 and we would have gotten a Yoda didn't look like some Sesame Street reject.
I don't know how the general public views the Disney takeover of Lucasfilm, but I think it's a good thing.
I do too.
Like Disney has a way of treating their properties that shows them respect and also provides them with the resources they need to make it
when
great.
The original creator has hoarded out the product so much that it's turned off the majority, then how could Disney do any worse? And
they have a track record of not doing anything badly.
Disney?
Yeah.
Other than destroying the concepts of intellectual property and copyright.
No, I'm talking about their content specifically.
Sure, yeah.
Like creating content, Disney's fucking amazing.
They're great animators. They got, Pixar is awesome.
They're the best in the business of what they do.
Their theme parks, I hear, are pretty good.
Yeah, so like turning that stuff over to Disney gives me a lot of confidence, and J.J. Abrams gives me a lot of confidence. And I'm not saying I'm gonna fanboy over this thing, but I'm expecting better than the Phantom Menace at this point.
I'm looking forward to the video games coming out too. Like I would love to have an updated X-Wing / TIE Fighter. Or X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
That'd be cool.
Because we've been talking about that of late, that like Space Sims were probably half of what I played growing up. Just going from Elite on the Commodore 64 to Wing Commander to Privateer to X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I'll even throw Mech Warrior because it's kind of a Space Sim in there as well. Like that was at least half of what I played growing up. And now we got Star Citizen, which is showing a lot of promise. But like I don't know why that genre died out, man.
I'm not sure either. There was like the period after Homeworld came out and kind of before Homeworld came out. Homeworld was like this weird kind of stuck in the middle, didn't get much attention because Space Sims weren't popular.
Right.
But it was a really good game.
Sure.
They're like a 3D RTS.
But on the other, it's like, people are like, well, what about Eve? Well, Eve is not a Space Sim in the way I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it's like
less adventure-y,
a space arcade simulator.
Yeah. Eve is about economy,
and it's also hard sci-fi. It's you're not roaring around in fighters. I
don't think you are in Star Citizen either.
Really?
I mean, there's dogfighting, but I mean, there's dogfighting in Eve. So I don't
that
know.
kind of dogfighting. Like it's much more technically. It's more like I've heard dogfighting by spreadsheet. The way, like, if you had these big intergalactic cruisers, they would not be fighting like World War II airplanes. They would be like fighting from extreme standoff range and all.
More like Ender's Game. Think about that.
It's more like naval combat.
Yeah.
Like that's the analog for big ship combat. But having said that, the Star Wars / Wing Commander take of like aircraft carriers in space with the majority of fighting being done by dogfighters with kind of like atmospheric physics thrown in too, because you can bank and turns and shit that doesn't make sense in space.
Sure.
Like you kill your thrusters and you come to a stop. What? that's not physics. But fuck that. That's what I want. I want F-16 in space, essentially.
Okay. Do you like atmospheric shooters, like just dogfighting simulators?
I played a lot of them
that
growing
sounds
up,
like
too.
what you want.
I played a lot of them growing up.
You want
too.
it to be dark and you want to see stars.
I want to be able to shoot mass drivers and lasers, and I want to be able to balance my shield systems. And that's the thing. Like it seems like all of the terrestrial simulators fall into the either
modern day.
You have to have a manual this big and be able to pilot an aircraft before you're any good at it, and you can't really customize it other than what's real world, or it's the afterburner shit where it's just ludicrous, like Rebel Assault style. Like it's you're not even a simulation at all.
But I mean, from what I know, based on the games that I'm familiar with, nobody's really doing like a futuristic take on those terrestrial shooters, right? Like those terrestrial dogfight games.
So are you essentially saying like a Battlefield 22, 24?
Yeah, like take it to the 2400s. Take us to Star Trek and show us what a battle in the atmosphere looks like.
Okay.
Because I mean, they've got to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, Wing Commander, you had a couple of like planetary battles, but it was exactly the same as being in space because...
Sure. But like all the weapons you mentioned, I mean, I don't know how feasible they are inside of an atmosphere. Like a mass driver, I don't know.
I guess like I would be really down for something like that if it split the balance between 2 arcadey and 2 simulator. Because I like feeling like I'm piloting something, but I don't want to have to mess with fucking flaps or, have to actually install speeds and things like that. Because I remember playing like Gunship for the Amiga, and it's like a very ruthlessly accurate simulator of what it's like to fly an Apache. And as a 12-year-old, that wasn't getting it done because I wasn't that good.
Yeah, those are tough.
I could barely take the fucking thing off, let alone keep it aloft. And that's like, I'm sure once you get really good at it, it's really fun to play like an F-16 Tomcat or an Apache gunship simulator or something like that. But it seems like for the terrestrial stuff, I can't think of something that's a super fun mix of like a little, pretty hard simulator, but not brutal, like much more arcadey handling.
Yeah, I think maybe there's some stuff in like a Rogue Squadron that you might like. I don't know. That's pretty arcadey. That's really arcadey, I guess.
There was one game called Warbirds that was in the early days of the internet, kind of like a contemporary of MechWarrior 2, which is a World War II simulator that was fairly hard edge, but it made a nice mix between just being able to get in and dogfight and being accessible, but being able to customize and have a different enough collection of aircraft and stuff like that to do it. But anyway, we got a couple other questions and we got to get out of here. Yep. Shane B, the Bowman says, better than Phantom Menace won't be too hard. Indeed. It would be like, if they can't beat that bar, then
if they can't beat Revenge, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like Revenge is good, but
if they can't beat
shit
Return,
that came before,
if they can't beat Return,
then I like Return.
I know I do too, but I'm saying like it's got to be that good or better. And I'm one of the ones that really likes Return of the Jedi. In fact, the only thing I don't like about it
does have to be that good or better
is Ewoks, and I don't think I would even notice that had I not read the treatment that said that the Ewoks were originally supposed to be Wookiees.
Yeah, I like the Ewoks. I think they're fun. I think they're...
Well, you were 5 years younger when you saw it.
That's true,
so.
Yeah. So the Ewoks are stuck in my head.
Like my son might really like the Phantom Menace, but I'll never know because he'll never see that shit.
Eventually he will.
I treat the Phantom Menace like Playboys. Like, it's like, what? I don't want your eyes seeing that.
20 when he's 19, he's gonna go off to college.
Yeah, he can go to a fucking video store and go through the beads, and he can rent the Phantom Menace,
the seediest thing you can rent,
and use a fake ID if he's gonna see it because it's not gonna be at my house.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Freddie C says, having trouble with my mouse here. Don't forget Battlefront, probably the best Star Wars game out. Never played Battlefront.
Is that an FPS game? I think.
Yeah, that was essentially the Battlefield version of Star Wars.
There are a couple of Battlefront games, yeah.
And I never that came out during like my dark age of gaming where I just didn't game. So
here's the thing, they were on consoles. And I was not a console guy.
No, Battlefront was PC.
Well, it was primarily PS2. Like everybody was
sure
jizzing over the PS2 version, and I was not into that, and I couldn't play with any of my friends because they were all on PlayStations and shit like that. I'm a PC guy, so.
And then Dan Gordon says Star Trek Fleet Command, the classic simulator strategy mix. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
I don't know if that's like a polygonal thing, because there was like a pen and paper as version of Star Trek I used to play with Ace Jace that came out in like the late 70s.
Wasn't that like extraordinarily complex?
It was, but it was super fun. Like you would spend all day and all night on a single battle, but it was so much fun. Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I
sounds cool.
I miss being young. Is like I just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
To like, an 8-hour gaming session to actually sit and learn something and then get good and get out in that and spend like a whole summer getting good, because that's the thing. That's what I like doing. I like playing when I'm really, really good at something. Like I hate the learning aspects, and like, so if it takes me too long to get from the don't know what the hell I'm doing to the proficient stage, I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why I never liked the really hard simulator things, because I'd have to spend 50 hours to get good at something, and like 5 to 10 hours is my limit for struggling, and even then it's got to be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The reward when you get really good at something that's really hard, I think is definitely there, but it's really hard to get really good at it because it's really hard. Like, yeah. I'm the same way. So much of the games I play, I played more to zone out and just kind of, get away from the things going on in my head and troubles and just like the serious things I have to do in life and some of that stuff. And getting into games where I have to really put a lot of mental energy into them is not necessarily what I'm looking for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I like mindless games like Diablo. Although Hearthstone is an exception. I think there's a lot of room to get really good at that. And but I draw a lot of my Magic background to kind of be good generally at those type of games.
And some games have really smooth curves. Like I thought Destiny, like the moment I jumped in, I felt like a badass. And I just got more and more and more badass as I went. Like,
I never felt like I had a handle on what I was doing, why I was doing it.
That might be.
That's
like I said, I struggled to understand that point of view, but
you're a guy who reads Reddit on these things and understands the currencies and what they do and what they're for and all these different factions. I mean, there's like 15 different currencies in this game that you're trying to earn.
I understand that, but
the way I approached Destiny was I just jumped in and started shooting things.
Sure, but that's the thing. Like, you don't get any of that shit until the end game.
I know.
Like, if you just play the 10-hour story campaign, but you were lost in that. That's what I don't.
No, the Vanguard stuff. Like, what are these Vanguard things? What is a mark versus a point?
But you don't have to worry about that until you're done with the main mission. You're level 18.
Oh, the story maybe. Yeah, but the Vanguard guy sells the gear that you need to get past the parts.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if your complaint is, I love this game, but I have no idea what to do. I get it. But I feel your complaint is like, I never understood what the hell I was doing or the story I was in. And I don't understand that, because I'm one of those guys that thinks that the game did a pretty fucking good job telling you what you're supposed to do. Yes, you had to.
If what you're supposed to do is shoot guys, yes, fine. It did a great job.
But you didn't understand like the difference between the Vex and the Fallen and the Cabal and the Hive, and like that's
because they're all wheelbarrows.
So, and so it goes.
Yeah.
This has been Lunch with Jim and A.Ron. We got to get off to the next thing. Thanks for hanging out. Did you have anything you wanted to say to wrap up?
Nope.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with another one. And another tons of Game of Thrones and Mad Men stuff coming out, more commission podcasts, a couple other fun surprises. We will see you next week.
See ya.
Have a great weekend, guys.